All right, so this problem, I want to do my best in 10 minutes to try to explain to you, all right, and help you understand standard deviation. Okay? So let me just kind of explain what these groups are and what these numbers mean. So imagine that we have a quiz and the scores are out of 20 points. All right? So in group 1, we have 5 students and they scored, all of them got a 10 out of 20. Okay? Group 2, those students, one had an 8, 3 had a 10, and 1 had a 12 out of 20. And then you can see going forward. So there's 6 different groups of 5 different students for all of these. Okay? Now the reason I chose these numbers is because for all of these groups, the mean, well, it's going to be really small. Let's try again. There we go. The mean, is 10 points. Okay, so on purpose, I made every single mean for every single group the same. So the average for all 6 groups is 10 points. Okay? Now, let's bring in standard deviation. Standard deviation, okay, is the average distance from each data value to the mean. All right, I'm going to repeat that. Standard deviation calculates the average distance of each individual data value to the mean. So look at group 1. All right, do you see how group 1, every single person got 10. How far away is 10 from 10? It's 0 units away. So the standard deviation of group 1 is 0 points. Okay? Now look at group 2. Group 2, I still have 3 students that got 10. But now instead of these other students getting 10, one of them is an 8 out of 20, and one is a 12 out of 20. So what do you think is going to happen to the standard deviation for group 2 compared to 0? It's going to go up, right? Because now 8 and 12 are farther away from 10 than not at all far away, 0 units away. Okay? So it's going to go up. But how far away are 8 and 12 from 10? They're not very far, right? They're still really close to 10. So the standard deviation for this one is 1.4 points. So it went up, but it's still pretty small. It's still very small. 1.4 points is still very small because all your 5 data values are very close to 10. I'm not going to explain how I got that. I mean, I did the math to get it. I just want you to know, Aviana, that it went up. I know. You don't need to know how to do it for the SAT. So it went up, but it's still small. Okay, look at group 3. All right, do you see group 3? Look at group 3. Try to understand this because it's going to be difficult, okay? So do you see I still have my 3 10s? But now instead of 8 and 12, I have 0 and 20. So now what do you notice about those numbers? They're farther away from the mean. All right, so it goes up again. Do you want to know the answer for this one? The standard deviation is 7.1 points. Again, I'm not going to answer how I got that, Anthony. It's not important. What's important, Anthony, is that you need to know that if I looked at group 2 and group 3, that group 3 has a larger standard deviation than group 2. And you should know that because it's more spread out than group 2. That's what you need to know. Let's look at group 4. Okay? Look at group 4. Compare group 4 to group 3. Do you see how now these 10s, we went 8 and 12. So is it more spread out? Yes, it is, because now we only have 1 10, and I've gotten more spread out away from the mean. So what's going to happen to the standard deviation? It's going to go up, but not by much. You want to know how much it goes up by? The standard deviation here is 7.2. So it didn't increase by much because my 8 and my 12 are still pretty close to 10. Why did I not mention it? Because the 20s and the zeros are the same. So the only difference from 3 to 4 is these 10s, one went to 8, one went to 12. So it got a little bit further away, Aviana, from the mean. So it got a little bit bigger for standard deviation. Okay, now look at group 5. Does everyone see group 5? You see group 5, okay, Aviana, 0 and 20 still there, right? And my 10. But what happened to the 8 and the 12? One went to a 2, that's much farther away. And what about 18? Also much farther away. So even more spread out. So what's going to happen to the standard deviation? going to go up again. This one is 9.1 points. Okay, now group 6. Let's see if your brain has been understanding. Okay, look at group 6. You see how I don't have 0 and 20 anymore? Okay, now I have 4 and 18. And then I don't have a 10, all right? I have 14, 6, and then 8. So what do you think is going to happen for group 6 compared to group 5? It's actually going to go down, Alonzo. Very good. Because 4 and 18 are not as far away as 0 and 20 from 10. So it's not as spread out compared to the previous group. So the standard deviation is going to go down. It's not as spread out. All right, so this one is 5.8. 5.8. All right, trying to read my handwriting. Okay. Yes, Camilla. Oh, sorry. I did on purpose. If you were to add all of these up, you get 50, 50, 50, 50, 50. They're all 50 divided by 5 students is 10 points. So I made them the same mean on purpose. Maddie. You got it. So compared to group 4, right, they have the same smallest one and highest one, but I've gotten further away, right? The 8 and the 12 got further away from 10, so it's even more spread out. So that's why the standard deviation went up again. So for the SAT, here's what you have to be able to do, all right? If I gave you group 2 and group 5 without the standard deviations, so look at group 2 and group 5. Could you determine which one has a larger standard deviation? Yeah. So that's what you have to do for the SAT, right? You should see that group 5 is more spread out around the mean of 10 than group 2. So that's why it has a bigger standard deviation. That's what you have to know for the SAT. That's it. Aviana. The other way around. Group 5 has a larger standard deviation than group 2. You won't put the numbers because you won't know the numbers. I'm not, on purpose, I'm not teaching you how to calculate the number because it's not important to the SAT. It will be if you take stats, then I'll show you how to do it. Yes. Exactly. It's not as spread out than group 5, right? We don't go to 0, we don't go to 20. So because it kind of comes in a little bit, that's why the standard deviation goes down. That's all you got to know. Okay? Everything okay? Having some respiratory problems? Yes?